Turning back now to the DNC and the very busy week here in Chicago. Host of the WGN Political Report, Paul Lisnek, is joining us now for more analysis.
Hi, guys. Good working with you down the UC this.
Ditto. Well, we were there for Kamala Harris's speech last night. A lot of people say it was the antithesis of the Donald Trump speech at the RNC. But did it bring home? Did it do what she wanted it to do?
Well, the way I looked at it, Micah, was from the perspective of what kind of criticisms is she getting from Donald Trump that she needed to address? Because that's kind of the challenge here. And the words, his words that he uses to talk about her is that she's weak, that she's stupid, that she's a low IQ individual, I'm using his phrases, and that the rest of the world is laughing at us. So I looked at it from that perspective. It was hard to listen to her career, her background, her education without thinking, well, she's certainly not ignorant. So she's clearly bright and has tremendous education behind her. And as far as being weak, when she got into the international affairs and the control of NATO, and that she would not be working with dictators, but would be working with our allies. She created a sense of international strength. Now I know Trump supporters who are watching us don't see it that way, and they see the Trump view as being the proper one. But I think she established for Democrats and potentially for independents the view that they wanted to see in terms of her strength.
Just the general vibe here. I mean, think about a month ago where we were. There was this sense of dread here, and the First Lady Michelle Obama spoke to that sense of dread being released here. Talk about how dramatic that has been.
Well, the Obamas are always dramatic, right? And so when they came up to do their thing on Wednesday night, on Tuesday night actually, we knew that this was going to be powerful for Democrats to watch. Democrats love them, and certainly in this city. So actually, the phrase that I took out of Michelle Obama's speech was the phrase "do something," which then stuck with the rest of the convention. And it's true. It's a matter of you can complain about things, you can say things. It's sort of like in 2016, people were all upset, but did you vote? You went out and protested, but did you vote? So her whole point is do something. And she said, and if you're offended that nobody from the campaign called you, don't worry about it. Just do something.
And she says, I'm telling you right now, Michelle Obama is telling you to do something. But the do something came from Kamala Harris's mother. She said when she would come home and complain, oh, this happened, that. Well, don't complain. Just do something about it. So it was a theme throughout the whole
Without question. And I'm sure planned that Michelle would pick up on that. And of course, Barack Obama picking up on going after Trump. Trump, that clearly got to him because today in a lot of his speeches, he's saying, they were calling me names. They're calling me terrible things. So, and I don't call them terrible things. And, but maybe now I'm able to. Well, I'm not so sure I agree that he doesn't. I mean, the nickname thing and the insult thing really starts with him. They just got a little bit of return on that.
Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, short and to the point, and he came out just like a regular guy.
So what he didn't come across as, Micah, is this seasoned politician. I mean, he is, but the seasoned politician. Exactly, 2 terms, 1 in a red state. They call him Coach. And so once again, I always view this as, if you're Republican, you don't like him, you're not agreeing with this, but from the perspective of what are independents saying, what are Democrats saying, and that's who this was for, and maybe Republicans on the fence, they looked at him and said, this is our neighbor. This is the guy that's going to help you start your car when it won't start in the winter.
Shovel the snow.
A very different kind of image for what we'd ordinarily see in a vice presidential, very seasoned politician. He's the everyman, and I think that's what she was looking for in selecting a partner.
Also balances the ticket. Right?
Well, absolutely. And it balances it in a variety of ways. Demographically, gender. I mean, we always knew she's going to pick a Caucasian male to be with her in this position. But we also, before it got announced, we were up. Look, I thought it was going to be Josh Shapiro. I thought it might be Mark Kelly.
Gretchen Whitmer was on there, too, the Michigan governor.
And she was. But I didn't think she'd go. I didn't think we'd see a female ticket. So I figured it would be the white guy, but I thought it'd be one of these other 2. But look, it's her first decision. Most seem to look at it and say, okay, she made a good decision for her first time out.
May also now get a first gentleman. How did Doug Emhoff's remarks land trying to, give the personal side of Kamala Harris?
Yeah, one nice thing is, look, he's been second gentleman now for 3.5 years, right? So he already gets the lay of the land and what his role is. And he seems very comfortable, as does Tim Walz, by the way, with letting a very strong, powerful woman take the center of power and be there. So you don't get any sense that her husband Doug is stepping on her toes or getting in the way or anything like that. He looks like somebody who's also addressing the kids, creating family. A lot of his were just telling the stories of when they met, and he seemed at one point last night, he looked and said it was exactly 10 years ago today that we were married and having our first dance or something, something to that effect. So clearly very a homebody guy. They've tried to dirty him up a little bit by saying, well, he had a previous marriage and whatever, except his first wife is very very, very active
She
with
was
the
on
family.
stage.
She was
there.
taking photographs and
Yeah,
stuff.
she's the one who did one of those videos that was
Exactly.
on there.
So, good
but
relationship.
There were some issues. A lot of people criticizing there was no Palestinian American person speaking at the convention.
That was problematic. And by the way, when you saw the families go up there, talk about a blended look of people. It almost looked like America up on stage. But there were requests to address that issue. They decided to keep it out, probably because, while you were getting some of her policy views last night, you weren't getting a lot of the politics, but she addressed the issue. And by the way, we were in the arena there, so I could hear there was a little bit of protesting going on. I'm not sure people heard it at home.
Yeah.
And I don't even think she heard it.
They were shouting out.
They were shouting out a little bit. But her answer seemed to truly reach everybody. In the end, it was a general yay from everybody in that room, because she talked about the respect for Palestinians to have the right of determination, of dignity, of security. So
Israel has the right to defend itself.
Exactly.
So she did a little bit of both sides.
She did, and went after Hamas.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, she's sort of saying, look, everybody needs to be respected here, and there's got to be a two-state solution. That's the direction things are going to have to go.
She was talking about America's support for Israel and what she would give as president. How do you think that resonated with the youth vote? Because that is going to be critical come November.
I think there's so much about this campaign, Ray, that is going for the young vote. That's part of it. I'm just going to bring up something that you didn't ask me about, but I was so affected by Kenan Thompson when he was in earlier talking about Project 2025.
Right, the big book.
And the big book, he had it in his hand, but then
Lil Jon's coming out.
It was
we were
a-
showing that video now.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is the
During the
roll call.
roll
This is
call.
the roll call, which we've never seen a roll call like that. This
Or
now
a
set a
DJ
standard for the
playing in
future.
between everything.
Exactly. So again, was that also for the youthful at heart and the youth? Very well may have been. It was really different. All of a sudden, you're usually roll call. I'll go eat lunch, but you stuck with it because it was really creative. The 2025 thing. I don't know if we have a video of Kenan Thompson, but he would put regular people up on the video board, and he'd say, "So now, what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I work for the Department of Education." "Well, not anymore."
Yeah.
And then he would turn to a provision, or what do you know? How are you medically? "Well, I'm on a certain drug." "Well, not anymore." And he sort of used that. I think it's a very powerful tool to teach. That's one of the Trump team's toughest things they've got to address, because Project 2025 is probably something they figured nobody would really pay attention to. People are paying attention to it. He's tried to distance himself from it, but it's a pretty tough policy that goes into place if he's president and that becomes law.
Talking about powerful, how powerful was it to have Republicans on the stage? You saw Congressman Adam Kinzinger, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger.
And he was
Kinzinger
just
on there.
like one or two steps away from Harris herself giving her speech, meaning he got a really prime time moment. I can tell you, I was down on the floor when he got there. He was received like a hometown hero. He's a very conservative Republican. He still is very conservative. But you should have seen him as I watched him walk amongst the Illinois delegation. They're hugging him, their selfies, all this. And he walked by me, and I just said, "Congressman, not what you might expect," and he kind of smiled at me, right?
Well,
as a Democrat.
he went up there and said it's not Republican or Democrat, it's about doing the right thing.
And he also said Democrats are patriotic as well. But your general question, which is, what about the fact that Republicans were here? Probably one of the most powerful things they did, because what that did was give permission to those on the fence and to independents who are saying, "I'm not sure which way to go," to do something.
Representative Schakowsky on the show Sunday?
This weekend, we got Representative Schakowsky. We're going to take a look at other things just to fill people in on what happened during the week. And next Friday on the Midday Show, having a fun interview with a woman named Jocelyn Cook, who wrote a book on QAnon called The Quiet Damage. What's really interesting is about families who got swept up in this thing. A lot of people think it's the uneducated and all that. It's not. It's lawyers. It's all sorts of folks. And what it's done to their families can be really interesting. That's Friday on the Midday.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, guys.